There's something charming about this album cover. It looks like something my grandma knitted all together. How would you make that into a square? There's probably a way. I don't know. Let's get on to it. Here, right now, is the 8th studio album released by Joshua Radin. I wanted to review this album for a couple of reasons. I feel like I haven't done a singer-songwriter oriented kind of album in a while. And I saw one of these songs that came up on iTunes, and I listened to it, and I was really excited to listen to the rest of the album after hearing that. So I've learned that Joshua Radin has kind of had a good history with music, given 8th album, happens. And this guy is a 45-year-old singer at the moment. And, he's just kind of been doing a lot of music. He seems to have helmed his craft pretty well. I am pretty impressed with the skill level that he has. Now, given, I would love to go back and look at his history in his music because I feel like there's probably some deeper tracks that I feel for sure I would love. Now, this album is good. After hearing that one song that I'm going to mention probably later on in this review, I think I overexceeded my expectations a little bit because I did enjoy this album, but I think I got a little overhyped thinking that the rest of the album would be like that. But, that happens, and I try not to overdo it, and that's why I listen to albums more than once. So let's delve into this. The closest thing that I can kind of give you an idea of what his voice kind of sounds like, not exactly, but kind of for maybe today's modern audiences, think of James Bay a little bit. Maybe not his last album, but his first album. His music kind of feels like it's old-fashioned a little bit on purpose, and I don't mind that at all. He's got great backup vocals, and just, I would say a majority of the arrangements on here are very just well put together. I don't feel like there's a ton of crazy riskiness in here, but then again, with all those elements I've mentioned beforehand, I guess I didn't really expect that anyhow, or shouldn't have. Yeah, I don't know. One song I think kind of gives you the better idea of what a majority of this album is like is the song You Got Me Thinking. This song in particular, I really, really like, but I do feel like it could have added some pauses in between the lyrics or sometimes just in between moments in the bars in the music. So that's just a nitpick of mine personally. The guitars, whether they are more acoustic or slightly more amplified electrically, they are pretty well helmed in here. And the sound quality, I think, measures up to the style that he is trying to execute. Now I'll mention the song I really, really fell head over heels for. It's called Going With You. I just felt like this was like a euphoric dream that was only kind of grounded because it felt like it belonged in the countryside, if you will. If you listen to the whole album, it is the one that probably strays the most away, and I wonder if he kind of did arrange this one a little bit differently on purpose. It doesn't have necessarily, I wouldn't necessarily say a pop or mainstream vibe to it, but I could see how this song versus the others could potentially penetrate those charts. So maybe that's what it really got to me, because I feel like maybe this is one where everyone else should kind of climb on board with it, and then they can enjoy the rest of the album and see what they think about it. Yeah, who knows? Maybe that's the real reason. There's nothing about this album that I really dislike. There are 2 covers in here, and I felt like they were dragged on just a little bit. I felt like the cover and the style may or may not have matched, but that's kind of my unsure opinion on those 2 songs. I'm pretty sure I've had a lot of jumbled things to say about this album, but overall, I think if you're looking for some standard guitar songs, something that might be able to comfort you or something that you want to share with your family, I think overall this is an album that is totally fine playing. I think there are tons of people who will love this album a lot more than me, and I am completely fine with that. I think my problem is I might have overshot my expectations. Again, listening to it more than once so that I can try to bring them down to slightly more of a reality check, I guess. But in the end, when I think I became more level-headed, I realize there is a style here that I enjoy. One song I particularly love, and then there are things that are maybe small nitpicks that I just would have adjusted personally, but I do think that a lot of other people will love this album because of the simplicity it kind of shares with the human soul, in a way. That might be too deep, maybe not. I don't know. You'll have to decide that for yourself. So, after having listened and reviewed this album, with production of 89%, creativity 78%, expression and lyrics 92%, I'm going to give this album a good. I do think a lot more people will enjoy this album more than I did. This is a style I would get into. I don't know what elements are holding me back from liking it more. I don't dislike it. A good grade doesn't mean it's a diss in particular. Some people kind of interpret it that way. But anyway, the idea is I can recommend this album because I enjoyed it overall, and I have a very confident feeling that more audiences are going to take away more positives away from it than negatives. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. And remember, if you want to discover, promote, and review the best in entertainment, remember to subscribe and follow all the social media down below so you can get that yes in your life. See you next time. From miles away, from high and low, I'll be around. Miles away, you still hear my voice.